All right, everybody, welcome to Fantasy Football Live with the Fantasy Sports Boss. Week 9 pretty much in the books, save for a Sunday night and Monday night game. And, it was a wild Week 9, as it always is on a weekly basis. Anybody who owns Joe Mixon, anybody who owns Justin Fields, anybody who owns Devontae Adams, congratulations on your win today. My God, I mean, you talk about some blockbuster performances today in fantasy football. We certainly got them today. Before I go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe, hit that notification button, and also hit the like button if you can. That way you're made aware whenever new videos are added. Like I said, week 9 was wild. And for the second week in a row, there wasn't a lot of key injuries, save for Aaron Jones, which personally hit me hard in one league. Only 6+ fantasy points. It's just another disgusting game by the Green Bay Packers. And certainly there's a lot of that this season with veteran quarterbacks struggling, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford. I know the Bucs came back at the last second there to beat the Rams, but it was an ugly game for both teams, and neither side should take anything out of that one, at least on a positive side, other than the win for Tampa Bay. But as we do every week, going to go through all of the games, look at the key performances, talk about any other injuries that popped up. And I know for me, it was a very frustrating game. I posted on the community board that I actually needed to take a break today for a couple of minutes because I was getting so pissed off. And listen, we've all been there, right? You have your team that that's loaded, looks great on paper, and just shits the bed on a weekly basis. I have that in one league. I'm 4-4 in this one league, and it's been nothing but frustration all season long. I have Aaron Jones in that league. I have Chris Godwin. I have CeeDee Lamb, up until recently was not doing much of anything. Lamar Jackson I have in that league as well. So on paper, this particular team is beyond stacked. Like if you looked at it in the beginning of the season, you'd be like, oh my God, this is a league winner. Well, every week it's just been just nondescript performance after nondescript performance. I'm going to be 4-5. I have a 7-point lead going into tomorrow night when I have Lamar Jackson, but my opponent has Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara. I needed a 20-point lead in my opinion. Going into that game tomorrow night, figuring 20 points from Lamar Jackson or 25, I would have, about a 50-point lead, and I think that might have been enough. But the way Alvin Kamara is playing lately, who knows? Now, my other league, doing really well. I'm going to be 7-2 in that other league, first place. That league, I have Ramondre Stevenson, who's been great. I have Travis Kelce, who's been great. I have Lamar Jackson, Chris Godwin, and Leonard Fournette in that league as well. But again, Stevenson's been a difference maker. Travis Kelce has been a difference maker. Allen Lazard has been a difference maker. Allen Lazard, I have in both leagues. I have Fournette in both leagues. Fournette, my God, it's just he looks done. I mean, I got ribbing today about Joe Mixon because I had said that not that he was done, but that he was going over the cliff. And of course, he scores 4 touchdowns today. Listen, Monday morning quarterbacking for sure. It was one game. It was a great game, excellent game, beyond excellent game. But it took 9 weeks for Mixon to do that. But I have Lazard in both leagues. Lamar Jackson, who's been struggling lately. It's Chris Godwin. It's always 10 to 12 points for Chris Godwin. He hasn't scored this year. It's just so frustrating. I was guilty of overanalyzing the Tampa Bay offense. They just have shit the bed on a weekly basis. Yes, Jonas, starting Fields, definitely. And that's another guy I have on both leagues, Justin Fields, but I had him on the bench in both leagues. I'm not going to second guess that because I have Lamar Jackson. You start Lamar Jackson every time, no matter what. I mean, so I'm not going to kill myself about Justin Fields. I actually picked him up with the idea of starting him next week because Lamar's on a bye and he has the Detroit Lions. So I think he's going to go ballistic next week too. But I will get to that game momentarily. Randy Etienne, Walker, and Mixon. Yeah, geez. At least somebody had a good day today. And like I said, I'm not complaining. The one league, I'm going to be 7-2. I'm great. But then this other league is just pissing me off. 4-5, it looks like. And then next week, I play the highest scoring team by a mile. So I'm probably going to be 4-6. Top 6 teams out of 12 make the playoffs in this league. So I'm probably finished. But whatever. But that's why you have more than one league, because if one of them sucks, then, the other one should, hopefully keep you in contention. All right. So the Atlanta Falcons, and the Los Angeles Chargers, hard-fought win by the Chargers. You gotta hand it to this Falcons team. They are not aesthetically pleasing, but you know what? They're in every game. They're 4-5, which is a lot more than anybody anticipated. Marcus Mariota only 23 passes, and again, since they throw the ball so few times, Drake London owners, Kyle Pitts owners, it's not going to be good. Save for maybe once every 5 weeks, like Pitts had a good game last week, but this time only 2 catches for 27 yards. Drake London only 3 for 23. So, both guys are bench worthy in my opinion. I know Pitts, it's harder to do because of tight end, but we've gone way too far into the season now to make any more excuses about Kyle Pitts. So is Drake London a drop? I think he's close to being a drop. I don't think you'll miss him. So it's just the offense is just simply not set up to throw a lot of passes. So that's going to be a problem. How likely will blow up tomorrow? I know a lot of people are having fun with that name. Listen, I think he'll score a touchdown. I think Lamar Jackson's going to look to him every time around the red zone. Tyler Boyd's been disappointing. I thought they would get better usage with Chase being hurt. Yeah, well done. I would be patient with him, though. They just rode Mixon today, and it worked, and they just went back to that. So I don't think it's that big a deal. So Justin Herbert, 30 of 43, 245, a touchdown and a pick. Listen, it's been a bad year for Justin Herbert. I think he's compromised by that rib fracture that he suffered, the cartilage rib fracture that he suffered against Kansas City Chiefs. He also doesn't have anybody to throw to. No Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams. Josh Palmer balled out just like we thought he would. 8 for 106. So this is why you used high draft capital, waiver wire capital to bring in Josh Palmer this week. And because he always does the job. When he's filling in for Allen, when he's filling in for Mike Williams, he always does the job, and he did so again today. You think Dillon could be a running back one next week? Not a running back one. Dillon is just too much of a plotter to be a running back one. He needs to get up to speed to break big runs, and NFL defenses are just too quick for him. So I don't think he'll be a running back one. No, I think he'll be a running back two based on work volume at the very least. Yeah, listen, Aaron Jones injury is why you draft Dillon. That's why I've said over and over and over, you hold A.J. Dillon, because when the inevitable Jones injury hits, and he is a hard runner who always leaves himself open to injury, misses games every year, just like, and I said earlier today, I've been waiting weekly. When is the injury going to hit? When is the injury going to hit? And it hit. Same thing with Leonard Fournette. When is the injury going to hit? It hasn't hit him yet, but he might lose his job to Rachaad White before we know it, before that happens. So, Kenneth Walker, waiver wire pickup of the year. Yeah, or Ramondre Stevenson if he was available there. Or Justin Fields. I mean, my God. DeAndre Carter, 5 for 53. Gerald Everett, 5 for 36. He had a really bad drop in this one. I started Everett because I have Dalton Schultz on a bye. Wasn't impressed. Austin Eckler, 7 catches, 24 yards, and a touchdown. And 14 for 47 and another touchdown. So the rushing numbers remain shoddy, 3.4 a carry. But, 2 more touchdowns for Eckler, who, outside of Christian McCaffrey, has been the most dominant fantasy football running back this season. It's just been crazy how good he's been, really. How about this one? The Atlanta running game. Tyler Algier, who, really looked like he was going to be a drop with Cordero Patterson back, 10 for 99. And he even added a catch for 24 yards. So, the Falcons, they didn't ride Patterson overly hard, 13, but Patterson scored twice, 13 for 44, 2 touchdowns. 1 catch for 9 yards. So even though Patterson is a former receiver, again, they're just not throwing the ball enough. So Patterson is not going to be a big PPR guy like he was last year because, Matt Ryan would throw him the football. It's just not happening in this offense. All right. So next game, Miami, 35 of 32 over Chicago. Miami every week, Miami with these point totals. If it seems like I've been posting a lot of Tua Tagovailoa videos lately, that's just because I'm so enamored with this guy. 21 of 30, 302, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, flawless football. It's just been unbelievable. He looks like the Alabama Tua Tagovailoa. Packers are dreadful. I'm glad I started Lazard. Hey, I was the guy who told you to buy low on him after week 1. Am I wrong? I told you buy low on Lazard every week now. He's going to be the prime red zone guy. He scores a touchdown almost every week when he plays. And he's the leading receiver. I'm down 30.28 in standard. I have Derrick Henry, Duvernay, Butker, and Chiefs defense in my league. Defense points start at 13, so I'll be losing by 17.28. And I have Kelsey hoping I win. Yeah, I think he should be all right. That's a lot of players still to go, but he does have Kelsey. Listen, Ray, I'm in the same spot you're in. My odds are a lot worse. I have a 7-point lead with Lamar going tomorrow, and my opponent has Kamara and Olave. So it's not looking good for me. Now, let's get to Justin Fields. I started saying a couple of weeks ago, he's ready. He looks ready. He's comfortable in this offense. This coaching staff has developed this offense to highlight Fields' strengths, which is getting out of the pocket, running at a high clip. His accuracy has improved. He's making good reads. And who would have thought, a year and a half later, that right now Justin Fields is the best quarterback in that 2021 NFL draft, ahead of Trevor Lawrence, miles ahead of Zach Wilson. That's how unbelievable he's been. 17 of 28 passing, 3 touchdowns. So he's making good in the red zone. I mean, his read's been spectacular. He's diagnosing defenses, which is things he struggled with certainly as a rookie and earlier this season. Unbelievable. How about this? 15 carries for 178 yards and a touchdown. We're talking Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts territory here, or Josh Allen territory. That's how good Fields has been, and he gets the Detroit Lions next week. So, especially in a super flex league, if you have a very good starter and you have Fields in your super flex, it's going to be a fun ride the rest of the season. There is no way this Chicago staff is going to change now from this particular approach. Played against Joe Mixon this week and still won by 30 plus. I think I have a good team. Yeah, it sounds like you do if you survive Joe Mixon. Have we reached a crisis point with Leonard Fournette? Elda, we are way beyond a crisis point with Leonard Fournette. I'll get to that game when we get there. And for a double Fournette owner like myself, I'm just beside myself with this. Now, here's what's interesting. Jeff Wilson, 9 carries for 51 yards, averaged 5.7 a pop. Raheem Mostert, only 9 for 26. He did score, but they split carries right down the middle. So, listen, this coaching staff, they're very familiar with both of these guys, Mostert and Wilson, and splitting the carries between them. Not the worst thing in the world. And it worked. It worked for today. Now, Chicago, David Montgomery, 14 for 36, 2.6 a carry. I mean, what? As much as I want to laud the staff for developing this offense for Justin Fields, I just can't understand for the life of me why they gave 7 more carries to David Montgomery. He only gave 7 for 23 for Khalil Herbert. Now, I know Herbert wasn't great himself, but only 7 carries. I mean, that's just ridiculous that they keep doing this with David Montgomery. Darnell Mooney, 7 for 43 and a score. Darnell Mooney is taking off with Justin Fields. How about Cole Kmet? Finally, 5 for 41, 2 touchdowns. So Cole Kmet, who a lot of people dropped, he looked like a decent sleeper. This whole Chicago offense is really firing on all cylinders right now. Gabe Davis cannot be trusted. I'm glad that he was on my opponent's team. Yeah, Gabe Davis, way too all or nothing for sure. Now, Tyreek Hill, 7 for 143 and a touchdown. The numbers are just absolutely silly when it comes to Tyreek Hill. Like, he's fantasy proof. And this is a guy who went in the second round, in the late second round in some leagues, all because of Tua Tagovailoa's lack of arm strength, so to speak, and all that criticism with Tua Tagovailoa. Jalen Waddle, 5 for 85 and a touchdown. Both of these guys are fucking killing it on a weekly basis with Tua as their quarterback. So this was by far the biggest misread in all of fantasy football this season. 100%. Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill in Miami, we all blew this one. I don't hear anybody saying, "Oh, I knew Tyreek Hill was going to ball out." Baloney. Nobody saw to this degree all of these guys in this offense, how incredible they've all performed collectively. Thoughts on Amon-Ra St. Brown? Let's get to that game now here. Let me pull that one up. So Detroit won 15-9. That one league that I was telling you guys about, I was going against Jared Goff. I'm like, I got this one. And he throws two touchdowns. I mean, so nothing went right for me in that one league. But anyway, we're not going to talk about Jared Goff. Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 43, 291, 3 interceptions and a touchdown. Nothing is going right. This guy's, Michael LaFleur is going to get fired. It's the end of the road with this offense. It's hard to watch. It's really that bad. Aaron Jones is now hurt, and he was seen in the walking boot after the game. Whenever a guy's in a walking boot, it's an almost automatic miss game. So, and considering Jones' injury history, I think he, might miss more than one game. So A.J. Dillon, who only went 11 for 34, that's 3.1 a carry, just horrible. Caught 2 passes for 10 yards. He's a running back too. This is why you hold on to him, though, if you're an Aaron Jones owner, even if you're not an Aaron Jones owner, because just on volume alone, he's going to get opportunity next week against Dallas. Now, Jamal Williams, 24 for 81, another workman-like effort for him. DeAndre Swift, only 2 carries for 10 yards. So we knew that he was going to be babied or eased in, so to speak. He caught 3 passes for 40 yards. So he showed explosiveness, DeAndre Swift. But again, just he's been a huge bust. I mean, he's in Jonathan Taylor territory. I know Taylor was the number 1 overall pick, but Swift was a end of first round pick, and he's just been just terrible. I mean, the injuries apparently are more impactful than anybody was let on initially, and this staff still loves Jamal Williams, and that's not going to change. So if you're a DeAndre Swift owner, he's actually fallen to flex territory. Jets beating the Bills. Who saw that coming? Nobody saw that coming. And I'm in here in New York, and we have 2 teams, the Giants and the Jets, that are shocking everybody on a weekly basis. I'm sorry, guys. I have fall allergies again me today. Don't worry, it's not COVID again. I'm hopefully still immune from that from last month, but fall allergies are annoying for me at this time of the year. Allen Lazard, 4 for 87 and a touchdown. He missed a second touchdown by an inch. And how often does that happen too, right, guys? Your guy catches a really, long pass. He's streaking down the field, and he goes down at the fucking 1 yard line. Every week that seems to happen to me. It just drives me absolutely insane. Nothing else really happening, though. Robert Tonyan, 3 for 29, if you want to count that. Aaron Jones, 9 carries for 25 yards. I mean, just a complete bust of a game for Aaron Jones. He's way too up and down on his weekly performance, but now it's going to be down for a while. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 for 55. In terms of Amon-Ra St. Brown, somebody asked me about him. I think he's going to be fine. I mean, listen, he's held back by his quarterback. There's no TJ Hawkinson in town anymore, so it wasn't a really pass-heavy script for Detroit. They maintained control of this game. And Green Bay kind of beat themselves, so there was no reason to air it out. There wasn't one of these crazy shootouts that Detroit has been in this season, so I'm not worried about Amon-Ra St. Brown. As a matter of fact, I would buy low on him if the opportunity presented itself. Cincinnati, 42-21. Oh, my God. DJ Moore owners, he came back to earth, didn't he? He was just downright horrendous. Joe Burrow, 22-28. He only had 1 passing touchdown. So you look at the score. Now, I know he had a rushing touchdown, but, you see 42 points, and he only has 1 passing touchdown. That's because Joe Mixon, this might be this could go down as the game of the year of any player this season. 22 of 153 on the ground. That's 7 a pop. 4 rushing touchdowns. And not only that, he catches 4 passes for 58 yards and a touchdown. If you lost this week with Joe Mixon, then I can't help you. I mean, that's just unbelievable, that performance. I mean, I can't even believe that. Speaking of DJ Moore, 2 for 24. So, Baker Mayfield came back in. Baker Mayfield has no chemistry with DJ Moore. So if you're a DJ Moore owner, it's back to the shitter when it comes to him. Donta Foreman, back to earth himself, 7 for 23, just caught 2 passes for -2 yards, that kind of a day. T. Higgins, 7 for 60. The game got out of hand so quickly that there was no reason for the Bengals to keep airing it out. So I'm happy with Higgins. I know he hasn't lit things up since Jamar Chase got hurt, but I think he's doing the job. Tyler Boyd, 5 for 44. So, again, I know there was issue about Tyler Boyd not doing more today, but the game got so out of hand so quickly that I'm not really concerned about him either. Tough week for some of us. Yeah, Michael P., I'm telling you, that one league, I just hate that feeling when you just, nothing goes right, and the next morning you just look at the team and you're like, how the fuck did I lose? I have studs everywhere on this one team. I can't even I'll share with you guys that roster before I come off the air. What kind of player can I get for Fields? You have Fields. Wow. Listen, here's another thing, guys. If you own Justin Fields in a non-super flex league, and if you have a Josh Allen, you have a Jalen Hurts, you have a Lamar Jackson, sell now. Right now. Offer him everywhere. Now, I have Lamar Jackson on both of my teams, and I have Justin Fields on both of my teams, but Lamar's on a bye this week. So, I have to play him. But, if you are in a non-super flex league, it's not the worst idea now to try to just ultimately sell high. Rondale Moore was overhyped this week. El Duddy had 14 points. It wasn't terrible. He had 10 targets. He's just not used enough down the field. That's the problem. Is Jones' injury bad? Yeah, well, listen, he was in a walking boot, so whenever they're in a walking boot, that's never a good thing. Don't sell until after Detroit. Yeah, I guess he probably is going to go crazy against Detroit as well. Kyler, Ertz, Palmer, and Patterson did good this week. Boyd didn't, but it was a mixing game. If Burrow would have thrown more, he probably would have scored, but remember, he stopped at the one. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And, I didn't see that where he stopped at the one. I watch all the games at once, and your head's spinning, trying to keep track of everything that's going on at once. So some things I miss. I didn't know that happened, but yeah, listen, this Bengals offense is just fine. Is Donta a hold or a sell? You're not going to get anything for him, so he's a hold, unfortunately. All right, Sam Ehlinger, 15 of 29 for Indy, 1 interception, ran for 39 yards. Listen, I could have told you this wasn't going to work. Matt Ryan's not the problem. The offensive line is the problem. The play calling is the problem. Matt Ryan's going to be under center again in the next couple of weeks. And for me, I sold Michael Pittman as soon as I found out that Matt Ryan had become the quarterback. Had been benched from being the quarterback, and all Michael Pittman did today was catch 3 passes for a grand total of 22 yards. I mean, it was that bad. Alec Pierce, 1 for 23. You can't start anybody in this Indy offense other than Jonathan Taylor when he gets back, and he's been shit also. So it's really been that bad. So all right, and here we go. Speaking of shit, sorry about this, guys. I'm gonna get rid of this stuff. I hate when these disgusting people post this stuff. So again, I apologize for that. As I remove these, I'll still go through the rest of the stuff. So Ramondre Stevenson, 15 for 60. Stevenson every week he's showing up. 3 catches for 10 yards and a touchdown. So Ramondre Stevenson's getting the job done, even when he doesn't have, the best game running wise. He still does just enough to put forth a good effort there. So Lamar isn't on a bye this week. He plays Monday night. No, Elda, I'm talking about next week. So I have Lamar and Fields on both of my teams, but I have Fields to start next week when Lamar is on the bye. All right. So, yeah, that's what I meant, Lex. All right. Jacoby Myers, 5 for 42. He lost a fumble. So, that frustrating team I told you about had Jacoby Myers on it. So just, nothing went right on that team. I can't even stand looking at that team, to be honest with you. And we all have that one team that you just disgusted with. For me, it's that one, and I keep referencing. The Jets. Zach Wilson did just enough. He threw a touchdown, played mistake-free football in terms of not throwing interceptions. He did have a lost fumble, but he stayed out of the way. Josh Allen was not very good. 18 of 34, threw 2 interceptions, but he did run for 2 touchdowns. So, listen, when you go against Josh Allen, people who went against him this week, that's about as good as you could expect to try to get out of that matchup alive. That wasn't, he didn't wreck the game. So that's all you could really ask for if you played Josh Allen this week. The Jets defense is playing good. Michael Carter, 12 for 76 and a touchdown. Caught only 1 pass for 10 yards. He's a better receiver than that. James Robinson, 13 for 48. He's really a non-factor. There's no sense to hold on to him as well. Stephon Diggs, 5 for 93, did most of his damage in the first half. Sauce Gardner, who in my opinion is already a top 5 cover cornerback in the NFL, absolutely locked him down in the second half. Anybody who saw this game, Gardner was in his grill the entire game. Gave up a couple of receptions early on, but then he completely shut him down the rest of the way. That's how good this guy is. Gabe Davis, 2 for 33. It's just not happening, guys. He was one of the most hyped players in all of fantasy football this summer. And excuse me, I got to just adjust this a little bit. And he's been pretty horrible this season. Josh Allen, he tends to have a little Matthew Stafford in him in terms of locking onto his number 1 guy, and that's been Stephon Diggs, just like Stafford does with Cooper Kupp. Yeah, Gabe Davis is killing you, Michael P. I know he's killing a lot of people. He's dropped to a borderline flex for me. This offense is so good, though. It's hard to bench him, but I understand it if you have the depth, you can do it. Garrett Wilson, 8 for 92. We knew when Corey Davis went out, Garrett Wilson would be the guy. Elijah Moore didn't even catch a pass. I didn't even see that until just now. Again, Elijah Moore, not even a single catch. I understand the guy's frustration. I mean, this is actually bordering on ridiculous that they can't scheme this guy even just like a couple of catches, I mean, come on. Yeah, Shane, Garrett Wilson definitely had a good game, and Garrett Wilson is for real. I've said Jameson Williams was the most talented player coming out of the draft at receiver, and he was, but the injury obviously knocked him down the rankings a bit. Garrett Wilson was right behind him, in my opinion. All right, so the Minnesota Vikings, this team just continues to get it done. 20-17 winners over the Commanders. I don't trust this Vikings team in the playoffs. I think they're going to get bounced in the first round. I really don't think they're that good. Kirk Cousins threw his customary 2 touchdowns. Every week, Cousins throws 2 touchdowns. He got banged up briefly, came back into the game, no problem. TJ Hawkinson, his first game, 9 for 70. How about that? On a short week, he gets traded, goes 9 for 70. He fit in seamlessly. Justin Jefferson didn't bother him at all. In fact, it probably helped him with Hawkinson drawing coverage, 7 for 115. Finally scored a touchdown. It's been a long touchdown drought for Jefferson. Finally got into the end zone. This is a nuclear Justin Jefferson game that we, were expecting all season. He still hasn't justified being picked ahead of Cooper Kupp, who Kupp obviously went crazy this week. But he's been very good. Terry McLaurin, 5 for 56, fell back a little bit this week. Antonio Gibson, 2 catches for 11 yards, 11:36 rushing, not great. Brian Robinson, 13 for 44 rushing, not great. The Reds Commanders runners are just not very good or not very effective. I still like Antonio Gibson, but he's just not going to be that bell cow guy in this offense. Full PPR, DJ Moore and CEH for Miles Sanders. Hey, Tiger, if you can get somebody to do that deal, absolutely. I would get rid of DJ Moore and CEH in a heartbeat. Dalvin Cook, 17 for 47. 2 catches for 9 yards. He got into the end zone with a touchdown, so that saved his day there, Dalvin Cook. But overall, I mean, if you're a Dalvin Cook owner, you probably are a little disappointed in his impact overall this season. The Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, fell 20-27 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, how much do the Raiders suck? I mean, it's just beyond ridiculous how bad this team is. Derek Carr threw 2 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence only 1. Struggling quarterbacks both in this one. Josh Jacobs for the second week in a row didn't have it. 17 for 67 rushing. Only 3 catches for 20 yards. So now opposing defenses are probably scheming Josh Jacobs heavily, not allowing him to go off like he did earlier this season. Devontae Adams, apparently he feels better from the flu. 10 for 146, 2 touchdowns. This is a classic Devontae Adams nuclear game. He had something like 8 catches in the first quarter, and then things got quiet after that. But he's just a spectacular talent. Christian Kirk, second good game out of the last 6, 8 for 76 in the score. Christian Kirk is very maddening. He's doing the Arizona Cardinals thing again, where he has like the one really good game out of every 4 or every 3. He's been pretty bad for the last 5 games. So then you probably benched him today, and then he does this shit. So that's fantasy football in a nutshell for you. Travis Etienne, true league winner, 28 for 109. 28's a lot of carries. He's not the biggest guy. I do worry about him wearing down eventually. But he rushed for 2 touchdowns. 2 catches for 17 yards, still not being heavily targeted in the passing game. And Etienne is very capable of going crazy on that side of things as well. I guess they're trying to limit his overall amount of touches, but 28 carries, that's a little insane for a guy who's not the biggest guy in the world. So there you have it with that game. Seattle 31-21 over Arizona. And just like I say every week, Arizona is the perfect fantasy football team in terms of they always have to pass late in games because they fall behind. Kyler Murray, 20 of 35, 175, threw 2 touchdowns, no picks, ran for 60 yards. So workman-like day for Kyler Murray. Geno Smith, 2 touchdowns and a pick, 275. So Geno Smith, who ran for 38 yards, still doing his thing. The bubble hasn't burst. He's still holding his own as an every week fantasy guy. Nobody could have saw that one coming for sure. James Conner still sucks. 7 for 45. I mean, that's actually not bad, but and he did catch 5 for 19. It just seemed like he didn't do anything in this game. So I won't criticize him in this game, but he's not going to really help you much the rest of the way. Noah Fant went 5 for 96. We know Noah Fant is capable, but he's just not consistent enough to use. Tyler Lockett, 5 for 67 in the score. DK Metcalf, 5 for 37 in the score. So just like in Miami with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle with a questionable quarterback coming into the year, Geno Smith has kept the fantasy value afloat on both Metcalf and Lockett. And here's the thing, guys. A lot of fantasy leagues, those who went the safe route, like me, I admit I went the safe route in both of my leagues. I think overall, drafting Fournette, drafting Lamar, drafting Chris Godwin. I think for those that hurt me, and for those who ignored the what's the word I'm looking for? The negativity or the negative hype about Tyreek Hill, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and went in on those guys, or Nick Chubb, he's not going to catch enough passes. Those are the people that are winning their leagues right now. So if you ignored, you say, oh, you know what? I still like Tyler Lockett. I still like DK Metcalf, even though it's Geno Smith. You're probably winning your league right now. If you said, you know what, I believe in Tyreek Hill's talent, I believe in Jalen Waddle's talent, despite Tua Tagovailoa, you're probably winning your league right now. If you said, oh, Nick Chubb, he doesn't catch passes, but he's so freaking good, you're probably winning your league right now. So those people who went out on a limb are being rewarded right now, who didn't go the safe route like I did in overall in both of my leagues. Well, really just the one league. My other league, I have Ramondre Stevenson. I reached for Kelsey, so that might be why the one league is struggling. Rondale Moore, 8 for 69. Listen, Rondale Moore is getting targets. I know the yardage is never great because they throw short to him and they want him to create after the catch. But in PPR leagues, I think he's certainly a wide receiver 3. Zach Ertz, 5 for 40 and a touchdown. All this guy does is post double-digit points every week. DeAndre Hopkins, quiet game for him, but he scored 4 for 36 and a touchdown. So when you get a quiet game from DeAndre Hopkins and he scores, listen, that's still a very good day at the fantasy office for him. And then last but not least, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This possibly was a season-saving win for the Bucs. Tom Brady hitting Cade Otton right at the gun to salvage the game for the Buccaneers. And certainly there's still a lot of concern right now with this offense. Am I glitching right now, guys? I feel like I'm glitching right now. Let me know if I'm glitching, and I'll try to fix the focus on this. I'm trying to pull up the box score of that game, and I'm not connecting. So if I'm glitching, I apologize for that. But anyway, so we do have a Leonard Fournette problem. Only 9 carries again today. The yardage wasn't impressive. He's averaging less than 3 per carry over the last couple of games. Rachaad White looks much more explosive. It's almost like the Khalil Herbert situation in Chicago. Fournette, which I hate to say because I have him in both leagues, is playing the David Montgomery role, and Rachaad White is playing the Khalil Herbert role. So, it's just not working. And do I think that Fournette's going to get benched? No, but I think we now could be moving closer to a 60-40 split. I'm not going to say 50-50. I think in deference to the veteran, and Brady loves Fournette because he's very good in pass protection. He's a very good outlet receiver. I don't think that we're going to see a 50-50 split, but it's not good. And, Chris Godwin getting the targets, doesn't score, frustration. And if you own Godwin like I do, if you own Fournette like I do, those guys are sinking your fantasy teams right now. I need 18+ win. You think it'll happen? Listen, he's capable of that. The only problem I have tonight in this game for Kansas City is that Malik Willis is starting for the Titans, and I think it might get out of hand early, and that would limit the passing. That's the only issue I have, Raul. Anyway, getting back to Brady, he threw it 58 times, 280 yards, though. He threw it 58 times, only 280 yards. Matthew Stafford, my God, 13 of 27, a touchdown, no picks, only 165 yards. This offense is completely broken. Darrell Henderson, 12 for 56. Yuck. Even Rachaad White, 8 for 27, it was not overly impressive, but Fournette, 9 for 19. Cooper Kupp, 8 for 127 and a touchdown. So even though his quarterback is really struggling, Cooper Kupp puts 8 for 127 and 1 on the board. The guy is just fantasy proof. Think Tony be a start next week? No, Michael, I don't think so. There's a lot of guys ahead of him on the depth chart. Allen Robinson went back into the witness protection program, 3 for 24. Cade Otton, 5 for 68 in the score. Cade Otton has made his presence felt in fantasy. If you want to roll with him on a weekly basis, I still just don't like this Tampa offense. Fournette did catch 5 balls for 41 yards. He's doing the job as a receiver. I got to give him that. Mike Evans, 5 for 40. He's beat up physically. Got shaken up again in this one. Went to the sideline, came back in. He's tough as nails, but I don't think he's right physically. Chris Godwin, 7 for 36. He's getting the targets, but like with Rondale Moore, it's right near the line of scrimmage, and he's just simply not being able to create enough. Anyway, guys, so that's it for today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. For Monday's stream. I will have another stream tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. Look for the Crisis Point videos tomorrow. We will talk soon. Take care, everybody.